All right, so the Minnesota Vikings, we are about a month away from training camp, about 5 weeks from when fans can attend, and the NFL's regular season starts 11 weeks from tomorrow. So we are really getting close, all things considered. We've still got a summer to go, of course, but we haven't chatted because of me. I was on vacation. We haven't chatted together in a group for about 3 weeks, and Justin Jefferson is back for the long haul. All of us expected that. There was some fodder out there that suggested it would take longer, that he could be traded, but that was never going to happen. So he is a Viking. The Vikings also re-signed Dalton Reisner, which is what the first thing I want to talk to the group about. Ron, I will start with you, sir. First of all, how you been, Ron?
Been good. Busy. Summer's feels like it's already going to be over soon, but it's how it always is.
I hear you.
Actually, the first day of summer is tomorrow.
Yeah.
Is it tomorrow or Friday?
Tomorrow, the 20th.
Yeah, it's usually the 21st, 22nd, but this year it's the 20th. And it's the longest day of the year per sunlight tomorrow, and then we start the reverse countdown. So,
yeah, Bryant, you set them straight on what season it is.
Yep.
Well, here in Miami, it's always summer, right?
I'm actually in Atlanta. I speak for the NFL Entrepreneur panel tomorrow.
Okay.
Oh, tell us about that, and then we'll jump into the Reisner stuff. Tell us.
So basically, the NFL has a entrepreneur group, so a bunch of players who are current and former who played in the NFL that are all entrepreneurs. They have a panel, so you go there, you kind of share ideas. There's breakout sessions. There's other guys. Like last year, Let's Chat, we won an award at the event, and then this year they have me speaking on the panel. You just speak about different experiences of being an entrepreneur, the ups and downs, what keeps you motivated, things like that. And it's just a bunch of former and current players that will all be, in attendance, just to, learn more and get educated and then make connections too. They have a couple key people who will be there who can help you further your entrepreneurial career.
And this is your first year going to this or not?
No, last year we won an award.
My fault.
It's my first year as a speaker.
Okay, cool.
Who else is going to be there? Anybody we would know?
I don't really know. I didn't even ask. So I'll see people tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm talking.
All right, cool.
That's awesome.
Report back to us when we talk 2 weeks from tonight.
Okay.
All right, Ron, I'm going to ask you about this. So Dalton Reisner signed, and it was kind of, oh, wow, he is back. Then we waited for a few days, maybe a week, and it turns out the deal was for 1 year and $2.4 million, which was lower than Blake Brandel's extension. And then Kevin O'Connell was asked about a week ago about the guard situation, and he seemed to say it was a three-way competition between Ed Ingram, Blake Brandel, and Dalton Reisner. So do you think Dalton Reisner, Ron, is a shoo-in to start at left guard, or is this going to be an actual competition?
I think it legitimately will be a competition, whether that's I don't see Reisner at this point in his career competing for a right guard spot because he's played left guard his entire career. So I think the competition is really between him and Brandel at left guard, but then also Brandel and Ingram at right guard, because Brandel, I think when they gave him that 3-year, I think $9 million deal or whatever it is. So that's high end backup, type money and, possible swing starter. So I think they're going to give him a fair shake to earn one of those spots. But either way, I love it because you can never have too much depth up front. And even like with Reisner, I know they drafted a couple guys in Juergens and Rouse, but it gives you depth across the front. And one thing us as Vikings fans know is with not having stability in the offensive line from about 2012 till about 2020, having multiple capable bodies there is always going to be a plus.
Yeah, I was stunned that the deal was only for $2.4 million. I thought the holdup this whole time for 5 months was that he wanted 5 or 6, like he tweeted back in February, March that he just wanted his fair share. That was all he was waiting for. And I thought that meant, hey, boom, he got signed. He's going to get $4.5 million. No, it was 2.4. So Sally, where do you think Dalton Reisner fits in on this offensive line? Is he going to start? Oh, you're
on mute.
It happened.
I find him to be one of the most perplexing situations the last 2 years now. He has success, he has good seasons, and then he doesn't get signed. I thought for sure that he would get signed, picked up elsewhere when the Vikings didn't extend him. And I mean, remember last year he was a free agent until week 4?
Mm-hmm.
when the Vikings picked him up, and he's always been a reliable option at offensive line, and he was the best free agent available last year. I was more so surprised, not necessarily about the money, but the only 1 year. Again, I know that it's not necessarily the biggest position of need for them, but they always do struggle with stability at that position since Ron said about the last decade or so. And I'm just really happy for them because I know that they really wanted to stay here. I've met his wife, Whitney, a couple of times. We have like a mutual connection, and I know that they were really bummed about moving again. They had already moved to Florida and stuff because they just thought it really wasn't going to happen. And you guys could tell, I mean, just even his first day back at practice with how excited he was to, get back to the food scene and things. Yeah, super happy to have him back. I don't know if he'll be a starter. It should be interesting to see. I mean, could always have an injury and he'll be back.
That's what happened for him last year.
Right.
Cleveland went down.
So now, Bryant, from your perspective, as obviously you never were in a position battle, like you were always set. Obviously, with Hutchinson next to you, it was always set. But in that room with other guys, say, like when Anthony Herrera came on, like when there were other players who kind of were jockeying for position, how did that work as a whole offensive line unit? And like, did you guys like not necessarily play favorites, but was there always like that internal like, we want this guy to start or something like that? Or did you guys kind of just go with the flow and best man wins?
No, you kind of had an idea who you felt like was the better player and who you felt like would fit the line the best. So certain people like Anthony Herrera, who I feel like was like a dog and scrapper, he would get out there and put out the best effort. So yeah, you had in your mind like who you could see starting and you hope they got that position.
Okay. The next thing I want to ask you guys about is this, I guess, the rest of the summer free agency, because the Vikings are in the spot where they have $26 million in cap space. And every time I think about that, I have to get used to it because I'm so used to penny pinching at this time in the calendar. And they might just roll this piggy bank over to next year and have a even bigger spending spree than we foresaw, mainly because they don't have a lot of draft picks. But they have the 9th most cap space right now. So, Ron, I will ask you, I think we've broached this topic a few times, but now with all of free agency in the rear view, is there a player or two or a position or two you'd like them to target with some of their 26 mil?
So I'm looking at kind of what's available right now, and there's a lot of defensive backs. Now, the Xavier Howard, I know he's kind of got that off-the-field stuff, pending or whatever. But a name like that is intriguing because, again, his experience with Brian Flores and obviously his ability as a shutdown corner. And then also Hunter Renfrow. I know that's a name that's popped up because we may not have that stability at the wide receiver 3 spot. But the rest of them, I feel like they're all guys that'll likely get signed closer to season start. But I don't think there's any real impact name out there. Obviously, I feel like we're set at safeties. Otherwise, Jamal Adams, just that name alone, because there was a time when he was so dominant that'd be a good fit. But there's no need for him at safety. So, a guy that I like that I'm seeing the name would like just for the special teams ability would be Jamal Agnew. He's been a dynamic returner, as well as a solid, rotational wide receiver. But yeah, I don't see anything standing out as going out and we need to get this guy. So I guess it'll be Lawrence Guy. We need size up front, as I say all the time. But they're not missing out on anything. I think getting Reisner was probably the biggest need, as well as talent available that I think fits. So I'm with you. I think they're just going to roll it next year.
Yeah, they at WR3, that's one I think I certainly in the group has pondered for several months, but they must really like what they have because they had ample opportunities to get somebody. I mean, WR3 isn't a huge hurdle to clear when you're looking for a target. And then this draft had all kinds of WR3 types. They selected exactly 0 wide receivers. They got a couple of undrafted guys who could get frisky, but that's just best laid plans. So I've concluded that they just really like the guys they have, or they're going to wait till roster cut down day when there's all kinds of free agents and examine that. One name that we've brought up did sign Bryant. Calais Campbell ended up with the Dolphins.
I see.
Yeah, did you see that one?
I seen that. I feel like that's probably gonna be his final stop too, like to kind of make that whole circle back to Miami. So I see he's signed with the Dolphins, which is good. And I also see like Odell Beckham is there too. So they picked up a few veterans to add to that team. So yeah, this is like year was 16 for him or something like that.
Yeah, 2008 was when he was drafted. So this will be
so 17.
Year 17. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah, and it's a perfect fit in Miami, chiefly because of what you mentioned, the coming home, so to speak.
Right.
But then they needed a defensive tackle. Like it's not like he was just gravy. They really needed somebody.
Right. They had just let the one guy go.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, they were able to pick him up, and he's still pretty productive to be in year 17. So hopefully he keeps that going this season with Miami.
Yep, and the Dolphins should be. At least quasi contenders. They had a pretty darn good season last year. And so I love the fit all around there. Sally, what about you? All of this free agent cash, do you think that they will spend it, and who should they target?
Well, I'm kind of with Ron in that there's not really anybody that sticks out to me, but I did want to point out that I'm looking at this list here, best remaining running back free agents.
Mm-hmm.
We have 4 former Vikings on this list. We've got Dalvin Cook, Cam Akers, which what a blip in history that was. I almost completely forgot about it. Latavius Murray and Jerick McKinnon.
Oh, he's still out there, huh?
Yeah. Oh, at least on June 11th he was, when this was written. So how funny is that? That says a lot about where we were at the last couple of years.
And they quietly could use a WR3. an RB3. I don't know if it needs to be somebody from that list. The easiest solution would be Cam Akers, assuming the Achilles is healed up. But right now it is Aaron Jones and Ty Chandler, and then Kene Nwangu, who they never use on offense, Dwayne McBride, who was blah during the preseason last year, and Myles Gaskin, who's kind of a journeyman at this point. So I'm glad you brought that list up because I think RB3 is an underrated roster need.
Cam Akers being out there is still surprising because it says he's 24 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and coming off of the injuries, obviously he's shown he can come back from an Achilles injury before. So the other Achilles, that just seems weird for any team out there needing running back depth, especially, the Vikings. I wouldn't mind seeing him back, but
he's only 24.
Yeah, he turns 25 this weekend.
Oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
What week did that injury happen?
Against the Falcons, the Dobbs game.
Okay.
So, yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
When was that, in November then?
Yeah, the first weekend in November. Right after Kirk got hurt. We were in such a cloud 9 because of Dobbs that the Akers injury just kind of got swept under the rug.
I remember it well, yes. One of my favorite moments, or 2 weeks of being a Vikings fan. It was great. I'm not even joking. It was so fun.
Oh, it was. No, I don't disagree at all. All right. So free agents, Calais Campbell was the one big hope. I mean, realistically, I didn't think he was going to sign with the Vikings, but that was the one guy I was like, if you really want to put a cherry on this thing, then get Calais Campbell. He's going to the Dolphins, which makes all the sense in the world. Let me ask you guys, Sally, I'll go back to you. Training camp, their tickets are available for sale now, and that gets underway in about, 5 weeks for fans. What are you most looking forward to about training camp, whether it's the experience or on the field stuff? What do you got?
Well, I don't know. What did that come out on Monday? The training camp schedule, it kind of snuck up on me. I was like, oh my God, it's already almost time. I was so caught up in the whole Timberwolves whirlwind that I kind of just tuned everything else out. So it was a nice surprise to see that in the inbox. I just love training camp. I mean, training camp has always been a very special thing for me, just because when I moved here 10 years ago now, the very next day I got in my car and drove to Mankato, and I just always try to go to training camp as much as I can. Even though it's now in Eagan, it's still very nostalgic experience for me, and just brings back, that giddy feeling that I had being able to go for the first time. So I'm just excited to be there. But I mean, just to see JJ McCarthy in person and see how he's developing, I think will be really fun. I want to see also Sam Darnold and how they look, by comparison. And yeah, I mean, just being there is great.
Where are you on the Darnold enthusiasm? I think you said a couple weeks ago that you're not going to get sucked into another underdog quarterback story. But do you think he'll be?
I don't know how to separate myself from that. I mean, that's kind of the story of my life. I'm not going to change at this point. Maybe if I did say that, yeah.
I think it might have been facetious.
Yeah. That would make a lot more sense. I mean, he is a ginger also. I can't not buy into it. I think that he might have a little bit of a rebirth here. I think he's finally going to have some confidence working with Kevin O'Connell, somebody who obviously has experience as a quarterback, and he was, wanted here. He wasn't traded. He's also got a Super Bowl ring now, so that's got to help your confidence.
What Super Bowl?
No, not a ring. Oh my God, almost a ring. He's got a Super Bowl, appearance, kind of.
Yeah, he's gonna fit right in. He's got one of those.
Right, one of those. Oh yeah, lost NFC Championship game. That's perfect.
It's hard to have a rebirth though when you've never had life.
Well, I know, Ron. As soon as I said that, I was like, God, that was the wrong word, especially with you sitting here. That's what I'm most excited about, honestly, is Ron having to eat his words about Sam Darnold for the last 4 years.
I will happily eat it, but I hate all this he's never had this type of cast. He's never maybe he's got some life where no quarterback drafted in the top 5 has a supporting cast on their team. They don't. And no quarterback that moves on has ever done anything if they don't do it with their own team. To me, I love the vision and what they're doing, and I don't want to see them rush McCarthy out there before he's ready. But Darnold under center is it's a 4 or 5 win max team. Darnold, a guy that throws as many interceptions as he does touchdowns, 60% less than 60% completion percentage every year of his career. There's I don't care what the cast he has around him. He's still the guy that saw ghosts on national television.
So you don't buy into anything regarding Darnold.
No, I've never seen anything.
You're one of the few that's sticking to your guns there.
Yeah, I didn't like him coming out of college. I remember watching him in the Rose Bowl against Penn State, and was it Hackenberg or one of those quarterbacks that he was going against, and man, he just did not look like an NFL quarterback to me. And I've never been a fan of his. And yes, he went to the Jets, so whatever. You can get the pass there, but again, and I know Sally, the rebirth part, but he's never shown anything anywhere he's been that he's worth a damn. He may be able to throw a great ball, but if you can't read coverages, if you can't do this, and again, for his sake, I hope he does at least show some life so that he can have a revitalized career, that he can have a Blaine Gabbert career, being a career backup. Which there's nothing wrong with that. I think he is a career backup. But is he any better than Nick Mullins? Nick Mullins at least showed he can throw for 400 yards. Darnold can't show that he can throw for 200 yards, but he's going to throw as many interceptions. So that's where I am. It's the cast around it looks great. And yes, you could say that he was wanted here, but there weren't any other options. We had no quarterback, and what are you going to get? Andy Dalton? Just at least. I would have much rather had Andy Dalton because he's had some success in the NFL. But
Andy Dalton is a little too ginger for me. Now that he in Chicago found that barber, it is looking way better. But it is a little too ginger for me. I'm more of a Sam Darnold ginger-ish fan. But yeah, revitalized was the word that I was looking for, not reborn.
I will be happy to sit here, come whatever week, if he's looking legit and he's not the reason we're losing games, and I'll be happy to admit, hey, he did have probably not a fair shake anywhere else, and he's proving it here because he is only 26 years old. So, but I've yet to see a quarterback that has moved on and finally found their stride in their 4th different team in as many years.
So you're not buying the Justin Jefferson factor? That's not affecting
I see a lot of Jefferson having balls bounce up to him, or with Dobbs getting killed going over the middle. That's the thing. Jefferson's the best in the business. And, even Randy Moss went to Oakland and didn't look like Randy Moss because who they had throwing to him.
Bryant, let me ask you, Sam Darnold was the 3rd overall pick 6 years ago with the Jets, and he's bounced around after not working out there to the Panthers, where he started for a little bit, and then a backup for the 49ers. Teams led by him are 21-35. Do you think this change of scenery can do him justice, and can he perform better than Ron seems to think?
I mean, it sounds like he already had a few change of sceneries, and it still hasn't been as productive as people would think for a 3rd overall pick. So I'm not sure. I mean, all we can do is kind of see and hope for the best, but I mean, you've already been on 3 different teams. With the Vikings, the 4th team now?
Yeah, this will be his 3rd team as a starter. And I mean, the Jets gave him somewhat of an honest audition, but to Sally's point, that team was garbage. And then he went to the Panthers and looked decent here and there, and then went to San Francisco last year very, very visibly as the backup.
What I will say is him and, the quarterback that we drafted from Michigan, they'll battle it out, and we'll just see who adjusts and makes the better adjustment first. I can probably see the rookie starting at a certain point.
Who was the starter in Miami before Tannehill took over when you were there?
When I got there, Tannehill was already.
Well, he was the starter?
Yeah, he was the starter.
Yeah, didn't you say he was a rookie, Bryant?
It might have been his rookie year. So I just felt like from a standpoint when I got there with him, he wasn't used to commanding or like being in charge of a group of people who are older than him, and I had to just tell him that he was the leader, like regardless of your age or whatever, that you are the leader. Like you operate the whole team, not just the offense. So what was funny is we used to sit the night before meetings, like the games, and I would sit and I would have team snack. Team snack is at the end of the night. I would just have a conversation with him and kind of like say certain things that I would hear Ray Lewis say in the locker room the year before, and I would kind of like say it to him, and he would use pieces of the things that I was telling him the night before in like the pregame speeches. But I was like, it's working to give him something to kind of get out there and say, learn, start becoming a leader.
Yeah, I looked it up, and 2012 he was drafted in the 1st round, and he started right away. And he actually started for the first 4 years of his career without missing a game. And then 2016, either he got hurt or was benched or something. But yeah, that dude was a starter out of the gate. What I'm looking forward to, I'm going to the night practice. First of all, Sally, I don't know if you'll be at that one.
It's a Monday again, right?
Yeah, the kid and I will be there. Yeah, it's a Monday night. I guess they're not going back to weekends. That's when it was easier for me to plan, but he and I will make it work. I want to see how the defense starts to improve, because it already improved last year. And now Brian Flores has what I perceive as his guys, not Ed Donatel's guys. The Vikings quietly added a lot of names behind me here in free agency, from Jonathan Grenard to Andrew Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner, Blake Cashman, Shaquille Griffin. And so the defense in the middle of the season was actually really damn good. And, it died down the stretch, but I'm excited to see how this team can quietly transform into a defense team, especially when we're in this delicate era of, hey, which quarterback is going to be good this season, or how long will it take for McCarthy to get good. I think this team can have a defensive backbone, chiefly because Brian Flores is still here. Which brings me to our final topic. I'm going to go with you, Sally. I think I've asked this right after the draft, so forgive me if it's redundant. What is your overall enthusiasm level now? We finally got what you and I have been asking for 3 off seasons, somebody to watch and learn. It took a while for them to realize it, but where are you at for your enthusiasm?
Okay, I thought you were going to ask my record prediction, and I got real nervous.
I wouldn't dare. I wouldn't
really
dare.
Nervous. Where's my? I mean, it hasn't been higher, I don't think, in 6 years. I'm so excited just to see how this team's going to evolve. I don't even really mind if they're not very good, because I just think that there is so much to watch and evaluate this year, more than there has been in as long as I can remember. And I'm really more so focused on what is the future years going to look like after this one. So my enthusiasm could not be higher, except for when I was reviewing the schedule today, and I realized that we have a whole month between the Texans game, which is like the 22nd of September, I want to say, and then the Lions game on October 20th before we have a home game.
Yeah, that's
again,
London game.
That is going to be so strange, and then in December to have 4 home games is I'm not enthused about the home game schedule, especially since me and my partner here just just paid off the parking company. But yeah, I couldn't be more excited about it.
Yeah, it feels like when you get into the nuts and bolts of the Vikings schedule, it feels like they were the team where the schedule makers were like, yeah, it doesn't matter, just throw that over there. Because everything is so weird. 3 road games in a row, 3 home games in a row. And I still am mad about the Vikings spending a home game in London. I shouldn't be. It's juvenile of me. But I like the advantage. But if it was ever going to be a year, I guess, where you don't have the extra home game advantage, you'd want it in this transformational year. But yeah, after that Giants game, which I don't think will be easy, they have 6 out of 7 games are against playoff teams from last year. Plus the only team that's not is the Jets, who have Aaron Rodgers. That's in London. So we're really going to get to know whether or not Ron's right on Sam Darnold, because it's murderer's row out of the gate.
The beauty is with those.
They claim we still get 9 because we have 2 preseasons. So lucky us, we didn't actually lose one.
No, we only have one home preseason game.
No, isn't first and the second, or first and third?
Ooh,
preseason.
I will have to look. I was under the impression, maybe it's just because I assumed. I thought there was only one home preseason game.
No, so that's how they made it up to us.
Okay,
little sweethearts.
But what I was going to say is maybe for Darnold, it's a good thing that there's not a ton of home games right off the bat, because there won't be the clamoring for JJ that he's got to hear. He throws one bad pass, and everyone's going to be remember when Tavares Jackson was here, and he makes one great pass in practice and everyone's clamoring for him. Granted, I think it was Brad Johnson at the helm, so there wasn't a whole lot of life in that ball at that time either, but so maybe he could benefit from that, not having to hear the home boos or anything like that.
Let's see here. Ron, what about you? Your overall enthusiasm?
Well, my enthusiasm for football season is always going to be a 10, no matter what it is. Even looking at that Donovan McNabb year when it's things aren't looking good, but football's back. So enthusiasm is always going to be high, but it's hard to be optimistic. Again, with Darnold at quarterback, until I see it, I'll have zero faith in his production.
And Bryant, on
I need to make a correction. Dustin, you're correct. You're correct. Only week 1 of preseason is at home.
Okay.
My apologies. I just got so excited.
It's all good. Bryant, let me ask you. Rookie quarterback, Sam Darnold, probably QB1 out of the gate. Justin Jefferson's here for the long haul. What is your enthusiasm on the Vikings in this season and beyond?
Seeing the young QB and Justin Jefferson connect, I feel like they'll make great plays together. So I'm looking for that duo.
Yeah, what I'm expecting, and I've been thinking about this a lot, is in 2014, the Vikings drafted Teddy Bridgewater, and we were just as excited then as we were now. We can probably try to say, no, we weren't quite like this with McCarthy. No, we were really excited about Bridgewater. And that season went 7-9, but it was a really good 7-9, so that when the season was over, we were we weren't bitter. These past couple hurrahs, when 7-9 or 7-10 last year, it's been oh God, this sucks. But when we had it 2014, it really felt like a stepping stone. So that's what I expect this season, is a fun team that's growing, that hovers around 500, hopefully gets frisky and gets in the mix to sneak into the wild card, but I won't predict that. And then I desperately want the team to reestablish home field advantage, because one of the quiet talkers last year is they were 2-6 at home. And I don't know how they got away with doing that. They didn't take a whole lot of heat for it. But Vikings football, whether it's at the Metrodome or now at US Bank Stadium, that's place is usually a fortress for wins. Even when they're mediocre, they usually win the home games and then lose on the road. And so I want them to start winning at home again. That's one of the things I'm looking forward to. But generally, I'm just exactly like Sally, extremely optimistic. And what I like the most about J.J. McCarthy being on this team is the offense and the coaching staff around him. We're going to know within 3 or 4 years if he's good. We're not going to have any bullshit well, he didn't have the weapons, or, buts. The guy has everything to succeed. And so we're going to know beyond the shadow of a doubt by 2027, 2028, whether or not he worked out. and I think that he can. He didn't. A lot of times at Michigan, he had an outstanding supporting cast there. But the one good thing that he really excelled at was, third down. He had some of the best EPA per play in the country. So we went and drafted the guy that's clutch. And that's what I like the most about them finding him at pick number 10. Any closing arguments from the group? Sally, you got any words of wisdom? No, you're muted again.
I'm muted because my stupid dogs now decided today is the time, like this moment is the time to play with squeak toys. So my bad about that. I think I've pretty much spit all the words of wisdom that I have for the day.
You're good.
Dolly has words of wisdom.
No, we can hear it. Yep.
Yeah, she's really excited about this season. So.
Ron, what about you? Any final thoughts?
Well, no, I think to your point, again, like for those like me who can't really comfortably get behind Sam Darnold, where the optimism does lie is the rest of the team, the way it's being built, and then the J.J. McCarthy, again, he's 21 years old. He comes from a big-time program, winning big-time games. And, yeah, he wasn't asked to carry the load, but he didn't mess up when his time did come. He made some clutch throws, whether it be against Ohio State or Penn State, whatever, big time environments, and he didn't shit the bed. So I think combine that with, again, his age and his, trajectory and what he can become, I think his ceiling is immensely high. And I also think he has a very high floor. I don't think he's going to be a Christian Ponder and bust out. Now, I think at worst he's a game manager in the NFL, like an a la Ryan Tannehill, something like that, where they may not wow you with numbers, but you're going to be competitive in games. So I trust the coaching staff to not put him out there before he's ready, but I also trust that they'll get him out there when he is ready. And I think, and this is just gut feeling, regardless of how Sam Darnold is playing, I think the benchmarks that they're putting in place for McCarthy, I think that's truly how it is. If they deem, hey, he's ready, even if we're 4-0, but he's hit everything we need him to. Because I think he can only reach his maximum potential if he's out there early as possible and get those live reps.
Bryant, what about you? Any final thoughts?
No, I'm just looking forward to the season to get here, and I just want to see how, everybody plays. Even training camp, so you can hear some stories about how they're connecting and the timing and everything like that, and everybody getting used to working together.
Speaking of which, I just thought of this. There was a golf tournament last week, and Dante Culpepper was there, and a reporter caught up to him and asked him about J.J. McCarthy, and Culpepper was all positives about McCarthy. Do you still talk to Culpepper at all? Could he come on the show?
Oh, yeah. I got his number, so yeah, I can reach out to him.
Oh, yeah, that would be cool. Mainly because he, offered those McCarthy thoughts. It would be cool to pick his brain a little extra. That's one of the biggies we've never had on this show.
Okay.
Yeah, see what you can do.
I am most excited to find out Bryant's schedule and when he's finally coming to hang out.
Oh, yeah. I'll be up there.
Better make it early. You don't want to go home in December.
I don't mind the cold weather, but I'll definitely figure out which game I'm coming to.
All right, you let us. That's your homework assignment. You let us know it in a couple weeks, Brian. All right, guys, we'll talk to you 2 weeks from tonight, right around the 4th of July. Okay.
Okay.
Awesome.
All right, guys.
Love you guys.
All right,
Bye.
Yep. Take it easy. Skol, baby.